Hey everybody, it's Jason with the Boardgame Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at a game called Oh My Brain! Oh My Brain is a game published by 25th Century Games, designed by Bruno Catala and Teo Riviere. Again, I probably said those names incorrectly. I do apologize. I'm terrible with words. It plays 2 to 5 players in 15 minutes, ages 8 plus. All that's probably accurate. I don't know about the age, but the time is pretty spot on. And effectively what's going on in this is there a theme? Maybe it's in here. After a long day of hiking, you settle down around a campfire. A cute little bunny approaches your campsite. Big long ears, fluffy little tail, glowing red eyes. Hey, that bunny tried to bite me. And oh my brain, you must get rid of all your cards as quickly as possible to avoid having your brain munched on by a horde of zombie animals. Discard your cards to stay ahead of the horde and roll the marshmallow die for bonus abilities. So this is kind of a shedding game. That's a fancy word for a game where you're trying to get rid of all your cards. And the way you're doing that is you are going to play a card that's higher than the person before you, or multiple cards, giving them someone one of those cards. And if you can't do that, you lose a brain, you reset the pile, draw some cards, and play a card. There are some special abilities where maybe you had to play low, or there's a card that lets you play a 0 that can go on top of anything. But at its heart, you're just trying to play higher cards than everybody else to run out of cards first to end the round. Everybody who has cards left at the end of the round loses a brain. Once anyone loses all their brains, game's over. Whoever has most brains is the winner. That's the gist. Let's go down the table. Check it out.
Come on, play the game.
All right, so here's a game of Oh My Brain, all set up for 3 players. Setup is pretty simple. I mean, mostly. Each player's going to get 8 brain tokens, which are here. Each player's going to get a card tray. And then you're going to do 3 drafting phases, kind of, where you're going to be dealt 3 cards. 2 of them go in your hand, and 1 will go in your cemetery here, which is what this is. This is your cemetery. So by the time you're done, you're going to have 6 cards in your hand, 3 cards in your cemetery. Then you're going to put the rest of the cards, which are called the swamp, off to the side, and we're going to be playing to the campfire, which is the middle of the table. And there's also this die, and the rest of the brains can hang out over here. All right, so on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to play a card. Now, the only rule to playing a card is you have to play a card that's higher than what's there. There is a card that breaks that rule. A couple cards. And if you play multiple cards, if you can play multiple cards, like I have 2 7s, I can put 1 to the center of the table on the campfire and give 1 to an opponent to put into their cemetery. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start. And I will go ahead and start with, I'm going to play the 17. So I put that there. Now, I'm going to roll this die, because you see that it has a little die icon. I roll it. Then I do what it says. And I think that's take another turn. So I get to take another turn, which could be bad for me. Which is bad for me. So because I played that card, I always have to play a card. If I can't, I discard all the cards from the campfire. I lose a brain. Then I draw 2 cards from the swamp. 1 goes in my hand, 1 goes in the cemetery. So I drew a 13 and a 0. I'm going to keep the 0. Put the 13 in my cemetery. I don't know how well you can see the cemetery. It's not super great here, but that's fine. And then I get to play another card. So I'm not going to try to do that again, but I'm going to play 2 7s, and I'm going to put a 7 in this player's cemetery. All right, and that's my turn. If you ever get below 3 cards in your hand, you can draw from your cemetery up to 3. That's a part of your turn. Now it's this player's turn. They have to play higher than a 7, or if they want, they can play a 0 because it has a special ability. If someone plays an 8, then the next player has to play a card less than that, and that's what this player's going to do. So they're going to play an 8. Now the next player, they have to play lower than an 8 because that's the 8 special power. And they are going to, they have 1 card less, so they'll play a 6. Back to me. I'm going to play an 11. An 11 special power is you get to sweep this campfire, and then I get to take another turn. So I'm going to play a 10. And now I get to draw from my cemetery because I'm down to 2 cards. And I'm going to take this 13 because it's a nice and high one. And I am done. Back to this player. So a 10 is out there. They're going to play this 12. This player, they're going to play an 18. And they get to roll the die. I think the cards go up to 19, so that's pretty high. And they rolled a brain +1. Gain a brain from the supply. I always forget what the dice do. That's why I have the little sheet here. Back to me. I have to play an 18. Or I can play a 0. A 0 can play on top of any number. That's its special power. In case you didn't know, the cards that were pink are the ones that have special powers. And I'm less than 3 cards again, so I'm going to take this card right there. All right. Now back to this player. They can play anything because they have a 0. So they're going to play 2 10s. 1 there, and they're going to give me 1 into my graveyard. Now they're below 3, so they will draw a card, and they will take this one. All right. Other player's turn. They need to... They're going to play this 11, which will let them sweep and play another card, and they're going to play a 15. And they get to roll the die. They have to take another turn, so this could bite them in the butt. Let's see. They do not have lower than a 15, so now they have to give up a brain. They draw 2 cards. Keep 1 in their hand, 1 in their graveyard. So they'll put this one in the cemetery. Then they get to play another card, so they will play an 8. And they're going to make me play lower than an 8. And they have less than 3 cards now, so they'll draw this one. Or pick it, and not drawing. Back to this player. Back to me. I do have lower than an 8, so I'll play that. I'll snag this card from my cemetery. This player is going to play a 9. They'll take this one from their cemetery. This player will play a 12. Take this one from their cemetery. Back to me. Can I beat a 12? I can. So I will play a 13. Take this one from my cemetery. This player, all they can do is play a 0. So they'll take this from their cemetery because they have less than 3. Now this player can play whatever they want. So, well, not everything they want, but they will go ahead and they'll play this one. Take this from their cemetery. Back to me. Do I have higher than a 4? I do. So I'm actually going to do this. Play an 11. Sweep. And I get to play another card, so I'm going to play a 10. Draw my last card from my cemetery. Now, the round's not over. But the way the round does end is when, one of 2 ways. The game ends when someone runs out of brain, which is probably not going to happen. But the round ends when somebody runs out of cards. Then every other player that's still in who has cards in their hand will lose brains based on the number of cards. So I'm down to 2. This player has a 10. They can't play anything. So they will lose a brain. Draw 2 cards. Put 1 in the thing. They'll put this in there and they'll play this one. This player, they're going to play the 13. They're down to 2, so now they have all their cards in their hand. Back to me. I can't play anything, so this gets swiped. I lose a brain. Draw 2, keep 1 in the thing. I'll keep that one. Put that there, and I'm going to play this one. Roll a die. That is, place a card from your hand into an opponent's cemetery. So you can have this. Then I get to draw back up, and I'm done. This player can't play higher than that, so they lose a brain. They'll take 2 cards. They'll put this one in there, and they're going to play this. Make the player after them play lower, which is no issue. They don't know that, so they're going to do 2. They're going to give me 1. Draw their last card. Back to me. I got to beat a 4. I will play that. Draw this. This player cannot beat a 9, so they'll swipe, lose a brain, draw 2. Put this one here. Play this one. This player has to beat a 10. They cannot, but they have a 0, so we're good there. And they only have 1 card left. I can beat that. I'll play a 14. This player cannot beat that. They're going to lose another brain. They are losing a lot of brains. Draw 2 cards. But they're going to stick it to the person after them. Play a 19. They're going to roll a die. Oh, one of those had to go into the cemetery. And they got another turn, which is actually going to mess them over because they can't play on top of that. So they lose another brain. Draw 2 cards. They'll put this one there. And they're going to play the 11, which lets them sweep this, take another turn. And they'll play the 1, which will let them roll a die. Lets them get a brain back, which is nice, and they get to draw 1 card from out of here. So let's take this one. All right. Then this player can play higher than a 1, I'm sure. So that's the end of the round. So I lose a brain. This player loses a lot of brains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that actually ends the game. And then after that point, whoever has the most amount of brains is the winner. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have way more than me. So they would win. If people still have brains, you would shuffle up, do it all again, and keep going. That is how you play Oh My Brain. Let's go up the top. See what I think about it.
What do you think, son? What do you think?
All right, well, that was Oh My Brain. So let's talk about the components. Now, the components are kind of funky. The box goes in this slip cover here. And then in here is like stuff. And then in this flap, I'm trying not to make everything fall out. In this flap goes the rule book, which I took out of there. But the cards are really nice. I like the art. The art is fantastic. The blue cards don't have any special abilities, but the pink ones do. Easy to tell apart. If you're rolling the die, you got the brain die up there, the marshmallow die up there at the top. So great art on the cards. The die is awesome. It's a wooden die. Different faces. All the faces are different, which is cool. The cemetery is just little card racks. I don't care about that as much. But they're in there, and the brain tokens are just cardboard brain tokens. So the components are fine. I don't really care for the box, but I do like the art in the cards, and the cards are nice. So let's talk about the gameplay. There have been a lot of these games where you're trying to get rid of your cards before everyone else. And this one doesn't really do much special there other than the fact that you have the cemetery or the graveyard, whatever they call it, I think cemetery, where you have some extra cards in your hand and you're trying to dig into there. When we were playing, I said it kind of reminded me of like Hand and Foot, or I don't know what another name for that game is, but where you're playing out of these decks, this deck of cards, half a deck of cards or something in your hand. And once those are empty, then you can go into your foot and you're trying to be out of cards, score a bunch of points, all that kind of thing. And this kind of reminds me of that, but people can put stuff back into your cemetery. They can give you cards. Eventually you're not going to be able to play and you're going to fill up your own cemetery. So it's not exactly the same, but has kind of similar vibes. It's a really simple game to play. If you've played euchre, you played other games like that, this will feel familiar. If you can see what number goes next. Someone plays a 7, you know you need to play 8 or higher, that kind of deal. Super simple to learn and play. The rule book, I think, is like 3 pages, and on the back is all the special abilities. Yeah, the actual rules are on like 2 pages. So it's not hard. And I really dig this. It's a super fun game. I'm a fan of Bruno Catala. I like card games. I like trick-taking-esque games. Trick-taking adjacent, I guess. And that's kind of where this one lies. So I'm going to give this a BGM Accept the Seal. This is going to get a 7.5 out of 10 on BGG, which is a 3.75 out of 5 wrenches on an arbitrary wrench scale. That means absolutely nothing, but we like to give it the games that we enjoy. And that's what we're going to do. So that is Oh My Brain from 25th Century Games. I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics. And as always, keep gaming.